Good afternoon, Pirate Prepper here. I'd like to take a moment to answer a question I got from a viewer recently who asked what I meant in a video where I said that things were going to get strange. Well, I guess the first comment we should, the first thing we should look at is what is normal and what is normal nowadays. And what could change? Right now we have inflation, we have governmental orders over potential overreach, hard to say with the courts doing what they're doing. But things are not the same as they were 4 years ago. Things are not the same as they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. You have to go back to the late 70s and early 80s. Jimmy Carter presidency, the farm aid years, to really begin to see the first correlation, the first recognizable situations in comparison. And when you do that, it gets a little disturbing in some respects, because those were bad years. Economically, politically, they were very bad. And that's not just in the U.S., that's around the world. Look at your history books, and not the sanitized and apologetic textbooks of today. Go back and read actual history. Read what happened in places like Rhodesia, called Zimbabwe. Look back at Germany in the late 70s. Look at all these various places where terrorist activity was happening daily. Not just somebody blew up a building 20 years ago, but when people were bombing police stations in the U.S., hundreds upon hundreds of them. We look at the unrest and what is causing it. The actual causation, not the excuses. And if you really look at what's happening and compare it, things are getting strange. Things are going away from normal. This is not the U.S. that I grew up in. This is not the U.S. that I expected to raise children in. This is change on a grand scale. And an excuse was found to implement it. Now people are making comments about making social change to help the climate, and various other statements that are almost mind-numbing at times. So what do I mean by strange? Look outside the door. How much different is it than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago? People ask, why do you prep? Well, there was another interesting question posed that's very similar to Marlon Brando in The Wild One. What are you rebelling against? His reply, what do you got? In this case, what are you prepping for? What do you got? Certain things we can't prepare for. The end of the world. There's no preparing for it. But you can prepare for a power outage. You can prepare for a tornado. You can prepare for losing your job, having to move. If you get your ducks in a row, get everything in order ahead of time, things aren't the tragedy that they could be. I keep alluding to a story about Venezuela where the gentleman put back a year's worth of food and he's still eating on it, 7, 8 years later now. Because he could supplement it daily, as opposed to just eating off his stored foods. And that's how we have to look at a lot of this stuff. We have to look at it from the standpoint of, okay, I have 200 pounds of rice. If I eat a quarter cup a day, how many days this bag will last me? Well, if that's all you're eating, not that long. But if you're supplementing it with food, which vegetables you grow or trade for or buy, with meat, be it off the butcher's shelves, out of the forest hunting or fishing, or even roadkill. Yeah, I said it. If it's fresh, what's the difference? Now that everybody's having a bad day with what I just said and turning this off, think about what I just said. What are you willing to do to feed your family? What are you willing to do to feed your children, your grandmother, your spouse? That deer on the side of the road doesn't look so bad after all. But I digress. Right now, if I were starting out prepping, or restarting, or just coming back from a hiatus, I would be looking at what I have, practically. If I live in Florida, I probably don't need a 0-degree sleeping bag. Probably not. If I live in Alaska, I probably don't need swing trunks. Probably not. But a couple blankets and a couple comforters can provide me a place to sleep in my living room if the temperature drops and the heater's out because of a massive brownout or blackout, which certain power companies are threatening. We're going to shut the power off for X amount of hours for X amount of customers. What happens to your freezer? What happens to your refrigerator if that happens? Do you have the means to power that, to keep it going, to keep the food cold? I'm not saying you have to, but it should be something you think about once or twice and make a decision on. Looking around, a lot of people are diving in way too deep, are panicking. What does panic get you? It doesn't get you anything. It isn't beneficial. So don't panic. Don't go out and panic buy. Get what you need to start and move on. Leave some for the next person so they can start. We're probably about to enter another era, another time frame where people are doing stupid things, like buying all the toilet paper, depleting the shelves of yeast, and everything to make bread. Though after the last panic last year, they might actually know how to make bread now. Maybe. Or at least they got the ingredients on hand. But look at what you got. Look at what you need. What do you need to get through a week without power? Or a week without heat? A week without water? Water mains get shut down all the time for repairs and work. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get them fixed. That's how bad they are. Now, put us into a bad day, bad situation, and what happens to that? Oh, we'll have it back on by 8. They didn't say what day. As far as stockpiling things, putting things back that you might need, I'll put forth one little thing. Cheaters. How many of you wear glasses or contacts and have gotten to an age where reading glasses and cheaters are more of a help than a hindrance? You may look funny, but you can read. Put back an extra set or 2 or 3 or 4. They're cheap. And you know how much you need them. So, look around. Look at what you need to get through your day, to get through your week. Start there. But do something. Work on your health. Go to the gym. Or just go in the backyard and work out. But do something. So, well, I promised to get into some more hands-on stuff. And I haven't yet. But that is coming. I have to get a few other things worked out first. Like a tripod. So, hope you all have a great day. Power Prepper out.